Welcome in to those watching on the CBS Sports Golazo YouTube channel. I'm Chris Wittyngham. He's Mike Grella. We're reacting to Arsenal beating at Chelsea, a huge victory for them in the title race by 2-1. Arsenal scoring 3 goals from corners in the game, 2 for themselves and 1 for Chelsea. Piero Hincapié, the own goal for Chelsea's goal in the game, and Arsenal getting the goals from William, Saliba and from Jurrien Timber. But Grella, looking at this result, this kind of seems like how Arsenal want to go win this title. They play reasonably well on the balance of play, but they ultimately do their damage from set pieces.
Yeah, this is it. This is the Arsenal that we see, right? You show me the game where they started and dominated the game from first minute to the 90th minute, and they played this unbelievable football. That hasn't been the case, but it doesn't matter. We've always said this. We said it's a result-oriented business. You have to get things done. And for this club in particular, we say you have to win trophies. They're making it boring now for us in a certain way, because a lot of people out there, all the neutrals out there, they want to see Arsenal fumble. They want to see a little, because obviously they've got to play Man City, and we'll take a look at the schedules moving on. But they want to see a fumble. They want to see entertainment. They want to see, can they cross the line? And they're answering all these questions. This was not an easy matchup for them against a Chelsea side that have a lot of young talent, a lot of attacking options as well. And they constantly have proven to get the job done over and over and over again. And is it pretty? Not really, but it doesn't care, and nobody will care. They get the job done again at home today. Huge, huge 3 points down the stretch.
And they were sweating it out at the very end, though, especially with that chance from Garnacho that goes to the back post. David Raya, fantastic save. I guess my question would be, though, Grella, is that going to be enough? Because you say it doesn't matter, but they're not putting in 8, 9 out of 10 performances. They're kind of surviving. They're grinding out against 10 men. Pedro Neto gets sent off in this game. Do you think this eventually will come back to bite them, and they will need to turn in a better caliber performance down the stretch in order to secure a Premier League title? Yeah,
I think originally when you look at the Premier League title or any league title, domestic title, you have to go out and put your authority on the game. You have to go out and create chances. You have to go out and play your football for 90 minutes. And then over the course of 38 games or whatever it may be, you're going to win most of those games. You worry that Arsenal was built, and I said this going all the way back to last year when they beat Real Madrid. You worry about if the team was built more for tournament play, knockout play, because defensively sound, organized. They let the game come to them. They're very comfortable scoring on set pieces. They have all the things that make them a good knockout football side. They've been sort of critiqued at times in the big moments, in the big games, especially when they play against Man City, that they kind of just sit around in the game and see what happens. And you wonder over the course of 38 games if that's enough. Originally, I thought no. I think a lot of people also thought no, and that's why they've fallen short over the last couple of years. But again, time and time again, they're proving us wrong because of the set pieces, because they're able to get goals when they need it, because they're able to depend on an individual moment from somebody at a certain time to get what they need. They have Raya making big plays as well in the back. That they're right there, Woody. They're right at the end of this thing with a few games left, and I think they now have enough to get the job done.
And let's take a look at their results in games of this magnitude, the Big Six clashes, as it were, over the course of the season. And they've done well, reasonably well, to get results in these games. The overall record is 3 wins, 3 draws, and 3 losses against the likes of Villa, Manchester City, Liverpool, Man United, the fellow teams in the top 6. They get a victory today against Chelsea. They've beaten them over 2 legs in the Carabao Cup as well. But these are results that are enough. It's enough. It's 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, and ultimately you got to take care of business against everybody else. And I think we kind of saw today a team that took care of business. They needed to get 3 points, especially considering the drop points against Wolves. People were wondering, is this going to be the time that we start to see the slip up? But they're holding it off for now.
They are holding it off. And then Man City doesn't help that they keep on coming back and winning games as well, and they're right behind them. So can you imagine the pressure? And the pressure's there for sure for these players. We talked to Saliba a couple times, and you can sort of see how bad they want to win things. And they've put themselves in the situation now. They put themselves at the doorstep, and now it's a matter of being able to walk through it. And so they have to be taking some sense of pride from this as well now, that they're not playing their best football and they're still getting 3 points. So 3 points against Chelsea is not an easy 3 points to get, I don't think. And over the course of 90 minutes, they look like they've just gotten to a place where they're going to find ways to win. They're going to find ways to make defensive plays. They're going to find ways to score goals from set pieces or from individual moments, from the depth that they have off the bench. So I think they're well equipped to find ways over the course of 90 minutes to really push games if they need to. And again, we talk about over the course of 38 games being able to push games. Sometimes being able to not to push games like how they have been is helpful too, because they don't make a lot of mistakes. So they will keep the game in front of them, and they will always give themselves a chance in the game and then be able to pull on different levers in the match, Arteta, to see what they need in that particular match to try and go and get the 3 points. And it's go time now. Now they've got Gyökeres scoring a couple more goals as well. They've got guys that look like they have more confidence in the group as well. So down the stretch, we wonder, will we see the wobble? To me, I don't see any signs of the wobble.
From a mentality standpoint, going into games like this and also just in a title run, it's been more than 20 years since Arsenal have won the Premier League. With the crowd, I think, feeling a fair sense of nerve about how do we go and actually finally knock down the door, like you mentioned, and win this thing. How would the players feel it, and how would getting a victory like this and the manner in which they did kind of calm that a bit?
I think these are unbelievable moments that you grow in personality, you grow in character, and you grow one step closer to getting your hands around the Premier League trophy, which is what they so badly want and desperately need. They've got a favorable draw for the Champions League. They are in there. They control their own destiny in the Premier League. They're in the Carabao Cup final against a Manchester City side that I think has more flaws than them. I think Man City has more flaws than this Arsenal side. Everyone, the whole world is watching Arsenal and saying, okay, when's the wobble going to happen, right? And where's the weakness going to happen? For me, the entire conversation was the teams that were chasing them constantly have bigger issues and bigger liability, bigger weaknesses in their team that are obvious. And Arsenal don't have all those weaknesses. Now, is it done yet? Have they walked through the door? No, but moments like today, I think, tell you exactly where they are, where they don't play their best football and they go out and get 3 points and they say, okay, let's go. Let's roll it on to next week.
You mentioned kind of almost how it's boring. Well, one of the things that we keep talking about so much with this team is this notion of them being set-piece FC.
And they are.
Right, and scoring goals from corners. This is the way that they are a threat. Was this almost something that was overlooked in the game, and that Arsenal are just maximizing this thing that we probably should have been paying more attention to in football, the idea of being good from corners, because they are just absolutely destructive. We see here in terms of 63% of goals from open play. This is in all competitions, and a third of their goals are coming from set pieces. It seems impossible that so many teams have tried to maximize value in this sport, and yet somehow Arsenal are doing it to a level above and beyond what we've ever seen before.
It's the perfect storm of things, Witty. I think for sure for many years, even back when I was playing, everyone's trying to take advantage through the set piece because everyone knows it's a big piece of the game. And no, there was not set piece coaches, but there was a guy that did, the assistant coach that did a lot of things, and then he was also the set piece coach on top of it. Every team in the world works on set pieces from as long as I can remember. So every team trying to take advantage in that way. But now you need a few things. You need monsters, right? Not just big guys, not just physical guys that want to head the ball, guys that wake up in the morning and they don't mind smashing their face into things. Seriously, yeah. I'm not one of those guys, so I know, and I know I've played with a lot of those guys. And you got to have guys that want to go attack the football. That's the most important thing. And you got to have really good delivery, and then you've got to have patience and the know-how to go work on these things. And so they've got a perfect storm of all three things. And I'm sure they wanted to take advantage of the set-piece situations and the big bodies that they have and the characters that they have in the team, the delivery that they're able to sort of call on when they need to. But I don't think that they understood how valuable it was. And they continue with this in-swinger to the back post, and they continue swinging the ball back. And a lot of the times it's not going in on the first one, but the second one, the third one, keeping plays alive. And it's become a real weapon now for them. It's become, I'm sure, to a point where you think to yourself, if you're an Arsenal player on the corner or an Arsenal fan, you're thinking, this is a massive opportunity. On a corner kick or a dead ball, you're thinking, we're probably going to score here. I mean, 32% of your goals, 32.7, 33% of your goals are coming through set pieces. It's a nice little weapon to have in your back pocket, especially if you're not playing your best stuff. And we've seen that from champions time and time again, that don't always play their best stuff, but find something on a bad day through a set piece, and they've been excellent at it.
It almost has to be a measure of intimidation or a mental advantage at this point. They're so good that if you're Chelsea, if you're any opponent of Arsenal's, that's all you're thinking about all week.
Yeah, well, think about Liam Rosenior and Chelsea. They were like, after the first time Liam Rosenior played Arsenal, he goes, that's the game I want to play them again. No, you don't. You don't want to play them again. And I'll tell you one of the main reasons why you don't want to play them again is you can't stop them on set pieces. You simply cannot stop them, in particular, cannot stop them on set pieces. They haven't been able to over the course of 3 games, and Liam Rosenior's all 3 losses came against this Arsenal side. So it is certainly something Arsenal look at and say, we're going to dominate you in this part of the field. We know that. And there's not many sections of the game where I think you're going to dominate someone in that section of the field. But for Arsenal, Chelsea, they knew. They knew if we get set pieces, we're going to bully these guys today, and we're going to get something from them.
And they get the 2-1 win as a result. We wanted to take a look at the title picture in terms of what is left for both teams that are in this competition, Arsenal and Manchester City. Let's start with Arsenal first in terms of going through it and seeing how these two teams can fare. So they play again on Wednesday. That is away at Brighton in the Carabao Cup, in the Premier League. And then there's actually a fair few cup matches between now and the end of the season. There's an international break, so they play against Everton on the 14th, and then you kind of start looking through it. Those next 3 kind of all look like wins, right? So I think by the time they get to Manchester City, they will like to have 9 points from 9 more, and that makes it a 5-point race entering that game against City at the Etihad.
Yeah, and against City, they're going to be at Manchester City for sure, but they are going to have, like you say, the advantage, and I think they're going to be quite comfortable to sit in and say, okay, let's go. You take the game to us. Man City, we know they're susceptible on the counterattack. The back line a little bit shaky. That's been a theme over the last 18 months for Pep. And Arsenal will look to exploit that, and they'll be playing in a game where I think they're comfortable, and Manchester City will be forced to go and ask the questions and make the game. And if the roles were reversed, and they could be, Woody, because obviously you're giving them wins for those first 3, but, obviously football's funny. If they go to Manchester City and they need to make the game, Arsenal need to make the game, that's when I would be worth it. More worried about Arsenal's opportunity and Arsenal's chances against Man City, but I think they'll be comfortable in that game because they'll be able to sit in and be able to hit on the counter and do what they want from set pieces and take advantage of Man City's weakness.
Okay, so let's go game by game then. Away at Brighton, I'm saying win.
Win.
Yeah, home with Everton.
Win.
Home with Bournemouth.
Win.
Away at
so
Manchester
I agree
City.
with you. I agree with you.
All right.
Okay.
9 points from 9 there. Away at Manchester City.
Draw.
I agree. I think it'll be a draw. Home with Newcastle could be tough.
It could be tough. Certainly could be tough, but I like another draw, let's say.
Okay. Home with Fulham.
They win.
I think they draw that game. I think we're looking at 3 straight draws, and then it starts to get nervy. Away at this run in though, away at West Ham feels like a win. West Ham are kind of nowhere right now.
Yeah, and it'll be a difficult place to go if they're still down there at the bottom of the table, and it'll be scrappy. But I like Arsenal there to get 3 points.
All right, so we'll call it a win there, and then Burnley at home on the penultimate day. Burnley will almost certainly be relegated by then.
Yeah, they win
that game. That's a win. And then away at Palace, final game for Oliver Glasner. Can he ruin this?
Yeah, it could be a draw, that one.
Yeah.
For sure could be a draw, especially if Arsenal needs something from the game and they have to go push it. And, Crystal Palace have some weapons that can hurt you going the other way. So that could be a draw.
I think in the overall, though, this is a kind fixture list. If you're trying to win a Premier League title, it's really only Manchester City away that's worrying you massively.
And Newcastle, I think, as well. Yeah, you're okay. You're playing them at home, but for me, there's no easy games in the Premier League. I think it's you find physical sides, you find sides that are very good in transition. Also, every single team will be playing probably for something at that point in time as well. So we'll see. But I like what we sort of had panned out there for draw at Fulham and then maybe potentially draw at Crystal Palace as well. But I like Arsenal to go on and win this thing.
Yeah, and let's take a look then at Manchester City, because you've kind of mentioned this idea that this is a flawed team that doesn't deliver that sort of imperious level of performance, or game after game after game, they're getting victories. So here is what they have left. They're home with Nottingham Forest in this midweek round, taking on Vitor Pereira's side that are just outside the relegation zone. That feels like a victory at home.
I think so.
Yeah, away at West Ham also feels like a victory to me. Away at Chelsea?
Difficult one.
It's a tough one.
I think it's a really difficult one because Chelsea don't lay down for anyone, and they're a young project, young team. I understand that under Liam Rosenior, new manager. They're still trying to do things the way they want to do it. But Chelsea is no walk in the park, especially there at their place. I think that could be a draw, could even be a loss, Woody.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree and say draw. We called the Arsenal City game as a draw as well. So they basically have to win out from here. Away at Burnley is a win, you would think.
Yeah.
Away at Everton, they've been actually pretty poor in their new stadium.
Yeah.
Feels like a victory as well. Home with Brentford feels like a win. Away at Bournemouth could actually be
a pretty
tough game.
Yeah. I think the away one at Bournemouth, and especially if you put those last 3 together, Bournemouth, Villa, and Crystal Palace, those are 3 teams that can, on their day, as good as anybody.
Yeah. Especially Villa on the final day. They might be pushing for Champions League football on that final day as well.
Exactly.
And then home with Palace. This is a game TBD. We'll see where they fit it into the schedule. Obviously, it would be a curiosity where Man City are in their Champions League campaign, but we'll have to fit that fixture in somewhere. Palace have actually always played well at the Etihad, incredibly enough.
Yeah.
How much do you think Champions League, because we see that big gap between March the 14th and April 11th. There's a Carabao Cup final to be played, an FA Cup round as well, and the Champions League. How much do you see the Champions League being a key factor in this title race?
A key factor in terms of helping?
Well, or hurting potentially. Like if both teams get to a semifinal, you can't fully commit to both, you would think.
Yeah, I think, look, Arsenal got the side of the bracket that you want when you look at the past champions, and not many of them are on that side where that Arsenal's on, so that's a lot easier side. That's a lot easier run going into the final 10 games, 9 games of the season. So that's going to be an advantage for Arsenal for sure. I think, though, Woody, we need to start changing the conversation to is Arsenal going to have silverware this season, or are they going to win potentially the quadruple? Right? I think that's more the conversation here, because it's clear to me that they're not only good enough and they've answered all those questions down the stretch, but that they're there now, that they're favorites in the Premier League as we speak. They have an unbelievably favorable draw in the Champions League. And we, Matteo and I went through a couple brackets, and we had Arsenal going to the final at the very least. So they're going to have a crack at that as well. Carabao Cup final, I think they're better equipped than Man City. We're going to be there for that game. I can't wait to go over there to Wembley and do that game. But they're incredibly more equipped, I think, in a one-off match against Man City than Man City are. You have to start looking at Arsenal and saying, hey, this is a team that's going to win the treble. And it would be a nice day for Arsenal fans, because I think they suffered. Yeah. I think they suffered a lot, and we have a bunch of them in the building. We watch them suffer every single day. So until they actually see it, I don't think they'll believe it. But if you're looking at this as a forecast, you need to start giving them their respect now. And I think you need to start saying, hey, listen, how many can they win, not will they win?
Now, on the flip side with Chelsea, they go into this game, I think, trying to get something from Arsenal. They've already lost to them twice in the Carabao Cup. Liam Rosenior, this is the only team that he's lost to since he's taken charge of this side. Today, again, one of the big talking points is, one, the fact that they were dominated over those set pieces, we mentioned them, but also a 7th red card of the season picked up by Pedro Neto. It was a second yellow card. Both happened in quick succession. And this is a team that has a discipline problem. But I don't know how, as a manager, you get your hands around that.
Yeah, it's not an easy one. It's something that's creeped in on them for sure. 7 red cards, the most in the league, and it's by far, actually, if you look at that graphic right there. And there's a little bit of youth in the team, I know, but we can't keep using that as an excuse, though. It's something that Liam's going to have to look at in the offseason and sort of figure that out, because red cards change games and they kill you down the stretch. They're real sucker punches, especially in a game of today's magnitude when Chelsea wanted to push at the end of the game with the red card. It makes it really difficult for them. So it's something that they're going to have to look at, and even especially the way they play. I know they want to play at the back. They take a lot of chances with the football. So there is this flashy rock and roll. It's a fun style. It's a young team. It's an unbelievable talents that you can bring in off the bench. Red cards, excitement, big tackles. But when they come into big moments, too often they hurt you. And if Chelsea want to be serious about making a run of their own, maybe next season, or get into Champions League football this season, they have to clean that part of the game up.
Yeah, I think you saw in this game, particularly with the goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez, he would get the ball. He made an early mistake in the game, and the Arsenal fans kind of saw blood in the water. Every time he touched the ball, they go, whoa, like waiting for him to make that big mistake. Yep. And I think that overall, for me, is an indicator of a Chelsea team that don't seem terribly convinced by this style of play that you mentioned. I think in some ways, this game is illustrative of the fact that these two teams have swapped identities. Chelsea used to be the team that was incredibly difficult to beat, physically dominant, defensively solid, and Arsenal were the team that were trying to play with style, but ultimately didn't have the substance. And I think we see in this game the fact that Chelsea's identity just isn't there yet. They're not there to dominate games of this magnitude. They can't create enough chances. For as much as they want to bring in young players and evolve their style of play, they haven't done it yet. They haven't been successful in doing so.
Well, this is the thing, Witty, is like, I kind of agree with what you're saying, that Arsenal have become the more pragmatic one now, and Chelsea, that used to be the more pragmatic one, want to try to play now. They don't know exactly what they are yet. They're still trying to figure it out. I don't know if they know what their best 11 is yet. A new manager in the middle of the season never helps. They've got some significant investment. They've got some significant talent, win the FIFA Club World Cup. But from there, it's not clear to me exactly how they want to play. And I think probably the answer is to be something what Arsenal is more, like where you do want to play from the back, you do want to play good football, you do want to push games, but also there has to be a pragmatism to the way you play football if you want to win things and if you want to get the Champions League football. That's just the way football is.
So Arsenal get the job done. They beat Chelsea by 2-1 in this massive Premier League clash to go back 5 points clear at the top of the table. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel and the CBS Sports Golazo Network for much more coverage of this game and the Premier League and all of major European football.